This week in the field, a little chat about research before heading out for your shoot. Hi everyone, I'm Scott Davenport and welcome to In the Field. Before we dive into this week's episode, I wanted to mention workshops. I'm entering workshop season and I have a couple of workshops happening in April. First one sold out, but toward the end of April, San Diego Seascapes. There's still a few seats left as I record this. So if you're thinking about, you want a little bit of a warmer climate change, especially if you're in an area of the country or world that is cold, San Diego's beautiful this time of year. Hope you can make it out there. If you can't, sign up for my mailing list. I'll be announcing some other workshops coming up really soon, and you find out about them first if you're on the mailing list. So let's get to this week's episode. It's about research. And, I have some footage from Bean Hollow State Beach. This is in Northern California, well, middle of California, really, Bay Area. And, I want to show you the footage from this location, and it wasn't my first choice of where I was going to go. But I'm really happy I ended up there anyway. Let me show you where this is in the maps, show you some things I found while I was on scene, and then talk about what went into finally choosing this spot. Here's the San Francisco Bay Area, stretching all this area here, and the little spot for Bean Hollow is just south of Pescadero, California. I gotta zoom in here pretty far into this little stretch of green right here. That's the state beach. Let me slip over to the satellite mode. We can get a better look at this area here. So let me zoom in really tight here. I'll start to see this little tiny patch right here. This is the state beach. And shifting over into 3D, get a look at this from the ocean side. It's nice. There's a nice set of rocks here. One, big, nice curving sweep of sand. Plenty of interesting foreground subjects and very easy to access. The Route 1, nice little parking area. So I spent a bunch of time marching in and around these rocks and these little coves here.
I've just arrived at Bean Hollow State Beach in, I say Northern California, but my Californian friends correct me. Middle California. San Francisco's, 20 miles north, Santa Cruz, 20 miles south. And this is just a nice little cove, lots of nice rocks, lots of great surf tonight. I've got the microphone shielded pretty well, so hopefully you're not getting all the wind blasts that's going on. But as I'm surveying this scene here, the sun is still about 90 minutes from sunset. This nice area of sandy beach, got some good waves just kind of rolling up onto the surf right there. And then imagine me standing there, but then turning and facing this way. Got some nice cloud cover in the sky, some interesting background rocks, plenty of surf, and good opportunity for color tonight. So it's time to gear up, start to scout around, and see what the evening's going to bring. One of the challenges as I walk around these rocks is finding an interesting composition where there's not too much dead space in the foreground. I found this nice pool of water here, but then as you get to the mid-ground, there's a little bit too much dead rock, nothing really happening. And then if I end up trying to perch up on some of these rocks right here, looking back toward the ocean, just effectively have a field of rock in front of me. So I need to keep marching around these stones here, trying to find that right composition. This vantage high up on the rocks here is making for a nice composition. It's roughly like what you see here. There's a lot of interesting and relatively disgusting foam on the ocean today. Here he's got those rocks here, and I'm actually in the camera, I'm getting some of the sky, some of the clouds there, and even all the way to the left. And let's see, I am set up, let me step back without falling off a cliff. Set up kind of like this, anchored downward a little bit, shooting at f/16. The polarizer's on because the sun is to camera left, so I'm using that to help keep the colors in check and minimize a lot of the reflections that are coming off of the water, the glare, in particular on that white foam. And shooting at, I said f/16, metering at about 1/6 of a second, so getting a very slight bit of drag on the shot. Now something else too is this little rock right here looks interesting, and it's also pointing toward the incoming tide there. So once I'm finished shooting up here, I'm going to wander down there and see about some other compositions closer to sea level using this as a foreground rock. I'm going to finish up the shoot here, this little stretch of rocks. It's a nice little triangular thing that caught my eye. Is the water you can see right now is going to swirl around it. Sun's off to camera right. That'll be really nice as it gets down low enough. Nice cloud cover. Those still have a chance of picking up some of the oranges and pinks as the sun goes down. And then shortly after the sun goes down, I'm just going to pivot right around here and get those shots of that nice little beach section here leading off into the distance. It's really blown out right now, but once the sun is lower in the sky, it's going to be a nice golden orange color. A lot of options at this little spot here, and best of all, I'm perched up on a rock so I get to stay dry this entire time.
As you can see from that footage, Bean Hollow State Beach, it's a really cool place. A lot of different things to shoot in a very compact area. It did not have miles of hiking to do. These were 5-minute walks between these various spots. But it wasn't my first choice. When I had decided I had some time for this trip, I'm going to go off and head over to the ocean and get some photos, I wanted to go to Martins Beach. I saw some really nice photos on Instagram from the Martins Beach area. I said, wow, I want to go shoot that. And as I started researching, where is the location and, the normal things I would do, sunrise, sunset, and so forth, I then found out that this area of beach has been embroiled in a legal battle between a person who owns a bunch of the land around it and the rest of the state, really, the public. And it's been this on-again, off-again. Access is limited. Maybe you have to pay for access, and there may or may not be an area to park, and guards, and so forth, and stories about people being escorted off the property because you're technically trespassing if you walk in from land. I didn't have a kayak or anything with me, so I can't enter from the ocean side, which as long as I'm on wet sand in California, that is public land. So all things considered, a big rule of mine is to stay out of jail. And while I wouldn't think that trespassing in California, it's not, at least in the Bay Area, I wouldn't think I would be subject to legal action. They'd probably escort me off the property. But nevertheless, it's not a chance I'm willing to take, and it just became too encumbered, that location. As cool as it looks, Martins Beach, I wasn't going to potentially put myself in a situation where I'm having to face legal action as a result. So, you know what? That's okay. There are great spots all along the California coast, and I found Beans Hollow. So that's how I ended up at this spot. The tip of the week is to research, beyond your normal, I found this great location. It looks very photogenic, and I know when sunrise is going to be, and I know when sunset's going to be. There's a bunch of other logistics that you need to consider. Just access to the place, closing times, opening times, is maybe safety, depending on how you're going to get to these locations. This is a bunch of stuff I talk about in the Making the Shot videos, and I have a new one coming out in a few days. Because there's more to the landscape shoot than just knowing the location and knowing when the sun is going to rise or set. So do that research up front. As for photos from this shoot, I don't have any processed yet. And one of the reasons is we're going to grab one of them and do a live edit later this week. So look forward to a live edit coming up in a couple of days from one of the shots from Beans Hollow. And that does it for this week in the field. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'd like to connect with you. Please follow me on Instagram. I'm at Scott Davenport Photo. You can always contact me through my website, comments on the video. Love getting your questions, so please send those on in. And I'm gearing up for another Q&A episode here really soon too. So get your questions in. You'll get an answer right away. And if it's something I think is going to be very very useful for people, then I'll share it on one of the Q&A episodes. Well, until next time, I'm Scott Davenport. Happy shooting.